Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Qadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Schwab Amawan back at you with another lesson. And as always, we come out week in and week out to prophesy the downfall of America, which is also known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures, all right? To prophesy the downfall of the so-called white man, which is the devil that the Bible speaks of, all right? And salvation is preached unto you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which are the true Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. And salvation is preached unto you on a daily basis, all right, to turn back to the Lord. And it is now high time to awake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than we believe, okay? And, you know, as you see the title, all right, the final warnings are starting to go out, man, all right? They're going out on a daily basis, right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, we only got 11 days left, all right, to 2026, all right, which 2026 is about to be a crazy and wild year, all right, because as you can see, everything here in America is being set up, all right, for this new world order that we're about to enter into, all right, and 2026 is going to have a lot of new rules, a lot of new laws, all right, a lot of new things are gonna come upon us, all right, and a lot of people are not going to be able to handle the change that's going to be brought upon this place, man. All right, a lot of changes are being brought to 2026. All right, so this world that you once thought was just this great place to live in, all right, this country, America, all right, that you thought it was just the land of the free, the home of the brave, all right, the land of opportunity, all right, this place is about to be changed into a whole nother world, man. Okay, and this is why these devils left and right, all right, all throughout the world have been setting up, all right, their agenda, all right, setting up their infrastructures, okay, and they've been starting it off through the outside, man, through internationally first, because Babylon the Great is being saved for last at the end of the day, man. Okay, see, Babylon the Great, all right, to this place, right, to this place of wickedness is such a great place that the Lord is literally, all right, going to consume it last and leave it for last, all right, through the spirit, all right. So when, you know, judgment comes upon this place, all right, this place is going to get hit hard, all right, this place is going to get hit on another level that you have never seen America get hit on, all right, because remember, this place is a place that hasn't been touched, all right. That's what the so-called white man has. He has the mentality of thinking that this place, America, all right, can never be touched. As a matter of fact, let's grab that. All right, let's start off with that. This is Isaiah, all right, 47. All right, 47 and 1. And this is a future prophecy that's going to happen to America, Babylon the Great. All right, the Lord's going to put this place down in the dust, meaning in total confusion. All right, this is why we tell you not to lean toward America, not to lean on Babylon the Great, because spiritually we are known as Sodom and Egypt, all right? So by you putting your trust in the shadow of Egypt, man, that's going to be your total confusion, okay? As a matter of fact, let's grab this real quick. This is Isaiah 31, all right? Isaiah 30, and it says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord Yahweh, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. All right, so our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right, they are very rebellious people, man. All right, they're stiff-hearted, they're stiff-necked. All right, here it is that the warning is constantly going out, all right, and these people don't want to take heed to it, all right, and here it is that all these different types of things are happening, right? And our people think it's a joke. They still out there trying to, you know, celebrate Christmas, you know, celebrate, you know, Halloween. They're about to get ready to celebrate, you know, what do you call it? New Year's Eve. All right. Thinking that this next year is going to be better than this year. Man, ever since 2020, man, this place has not gotten better through the years. It has gotten worse and worse. And you'll always see, you know, on social media, people talk about, oh, this next year is going to be my year, or that year is going to be this year. You know, F all that, man. None of these years are going to be any of it. All right, it's just going to get worse and worse in Babylon the Great, so this place constantly, so this place be destroyed. All right. So our people are rebellious people, right? And they all take counsel of the world instead of taking counsel of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. See, they listen to the ways of Babylon the Great, but they don't listen to the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Okay? So it says that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit. Yeah, because see, they take the covering of America. All right? They think that America is going to be able to save their nation. They think that America is going to pull through, all right, and that they're going to be great again. You see? But the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, is going to make this place great again. He's going to give the true reset out here in America. Okay? Not Donald Trump, all right? Not none of these damn other countries are going to be able to save us, all right? None of these other countries are going to be next, okay? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is next. Because the Lord said Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it, all right? So Esau, all right, is the one that rules this place, America. You see? Between America and Israel, which they are both in cahoots with each other, okay? They're the ones that rule the world. You see, so Esau is going to be the end, whether you like it or not. And Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. Why? Because the Lord, Yahweh Shai, is going to set, all right, Yahweh is going to set someone in here that's profitable, all right? And that's going to be Yahweh Shai through the Spirit, all right? So it says that walk to go down into Egypt, all right, which that is a representation of America, because it tells you in Revelation, the 11th chapter, that we are spiritually Sodom and Egypt, okay? Why are we spiritually Sodom and Egypt? Because you see all the phagonometry that's constantly being brought upon this place, all right, just like in the times of Sodom and Gomorrah, which it was destroyed, right, for a reason, because all the wickedness that they were doing. So this place is doing the same exact type of wickedness, showing you that those spirits are here today, okay? And why is it also called America? Because we're still in captivity, man. All right, we're about to enter into the wilderness. All right, here it is that the Lord is constantly telling, all right, these kings of the earth to let our people go. All right, and they don't want to let us go. You see, so we're just like in the spirit of Egypt still. Okay, and also because we were brought here on ships. All right, as the scriptures tell you in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter, verse 68, as a curse, right, that we will be brought into Egypt again. All right, by ships. And that no man will buy us back, you know, no man will redeem us because we were under captivity. All right. But see, now the time has come that the Lord, our Redeemer, all right, has bought us back in blood. OK, he has bought us back in blood a little over 2,000 years ago, 2 days ago. All right. And now he's going to bring us back. All right. And on that third day, as the scriptures tell you in Revelations, the 11th chapter, right, that after 2 days and a half, right, that the Lord will bring the spirit, he will put the spirit upon us. And on the third day that we shall live, you see, so we're going to live, all right, through the spirit, because we're doing what the Lord has required us all these generations, all these different centuries, all right, for us to do. Okay, so it says that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. See, so they strengthen themselves with the strength of Pharaoh. Okay, who's the modern day pharaohs, man? All right, going into DT, your president, that's the modern day pharaohs. Okay, all these nations that are against you are basically considered as a modern day pharaoh to you. Okay, so you'll run after these different nations. You'll run after, you know, America's ways, but you can't run after the Lord's ways, after Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai's ways, which is life. You see, our people, they much rather have death than life. Okay, they much rather live in pleasures of sin, all right, that are going to last for a moment. And the wages of sin is death. That's why our people are constantly dying left and right out here, man. None of our people are living. All right. Only the elect is the ones that are going to take heed to the Lord, which is 1/3 of our people, 33.3% of our people, and 66.6%, all right, of our nation, all right, going to be cut off and die out here because they worship idols, you know. They worship all these different types of philosophies, and they worship these different types of gods, whether it be idols or whether it be money, whether it be the finer things of life, all right? They love the lust of their eyes, the lust of the flesh, all right? And the lust thereof is going to pass away. Everything here is going to be disintegrated. Everything here is going to be taken away from us, you see? So the only thing you have left to do is turn back to your power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. all right? But they have said that they will not, right? They will not fear Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. They will not turn back to the Lord, okay? They will not follow in his ways. So this is why this place is about to be destroyed, all right? Because it has to be in order for these people, all right, to learn their lesson, all right, of what happens when you stray from your God, you see? And more than ever, us being in this truth, all right, because it was our mind that strayed away from the Lord, as it tells you in Baruch, right? Now we have to seek the Lord 10 times stronger, 10 times harder, okay? So we should be in the spirit of going harder than ever, knowing that the time is that the clock is ticking, knowing that there ain't too much time left, okay? But you got a lot of people in the spirit of slumber. You got people that, you know, they don't want to do the work of the Lord. You know, they don't want to represent the Lord, okay? So this is what's coming to America, right? So it says, that walk to go down into Egypt and have not asked on my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. You see? So eventually when this place, all hell breaks loose, all right? When this place goes down to flames, all right, now everybody's going to be in their total confusion, man. Wondering what the hell happened to this great city, all right? Asking for answers. As the scriptures say, there's going to be a cry for wine in the streets, okay? Meaning that they're going to want answers when all hell breaks loose out here, you see? But the answers has been here this whole entire time, okay? We've been gave you the answers over and over and over again through the spirit, all right, of what to do. What's your job here left on earth, okay? See, we wasn't brought here to have a good old time, man, and live it up, all right? We were brought here through the spirit, all right, to suffer. We were brought here through the spirit to turn back to our power, okay? But like as the days of Noah were, all right, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriage, all right? And then all of a sudden the flood came and it swept them all away, all right? So it's going to happen in the same manner in these last days. You see all these people, they're in the spirit of mirth, you know? They're all living it up, constantly drinking and eating everywhere they go. This whole strip is about just drinks and eating, you see? They're constantly giving into marriage, you know? Everything is about a sexual lifestyle, you know? Sleeping with whoever you feel like sleeping with, you know? People getting married in the churches, our people getting married in the churches in a demonic way, you see? So the same thing is happening like in the times of Noah, all right? And what we're living in is in the spiritual ark, okay? That spiritual ark is about to close, all right? And what happened when that real ark closed in the time of Noah, man? All right? People started banging on the doors, you know? They wanted to be let in. And through the spirit, the Lord was the one that closed the doors on Noah, all right? That no man could go into that ark, because once it was sealed that it had to be done, the will of the Lord had to be done. And so it's the same thing in these last days. Once the Lord gives the sign, all right, the go to Yahweh Shai, which is sitting on the right hand side of the Lord, all right, that's it. This place is done. All right, you either got the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai and filled your lamps with oil, or you didn't. Okay, and if you ain't fill your lamps with oil, well, you're gonna be destroyed out here. All right, then you're gonna try to look for oil for your lamps, but your lamps are gonna be burnt out, because you're gonna have no knowledge of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. As the scriptures say, that knowledge and wisdom, all right, is gonna be the stability of thy times. All right, so what stability you gonna have if you never got to know your power, if you never got to know your heritage, your culture? You see? Got a whole bunch of niggas down the street over there on their microphone, you know, at the bar, you know, having a good old time, playing all types of stupid little games. You know, these people drink their life away because they see that America's falling apart. So they try to drink away their sorrows. But when you wake up in the morning, all right, that shit's still going to be there. America's still going to be falling apart. You know, America's still going to have to sit down in the dust, whether you like it or not. Okay? And that's what's going to be their total confusion, man, when this shit finally happens. And that's the faith and the patience of the saints, man. We constantly wait, all right, on the Lord and suffer through all this shit, watching all this wickedness constantly happen around us, all right, hoping that the Lord comes today. hoping that the Lord should have came yesterday. You see? Look at this shit. Passing out fucking candy canes.
Wishing you nothing but an extraordinary holiday.
Fuck that holiday. You see? Our people worried about the wrong shit. And that's a whole Edomite riding around, all right, with his bullshit. And who's the one that he passing out candy canes to, man? He gonna be passing out candy canes to a bunch of Jakes, you know? Bunch of Judites, a bunch of Issacharites out here, you know? This fucking morning, all you heard down my block was Santa on his fucking fire truck, man. Which Santa goes into being Satan, you know? And our people love celebrating that shit. Here it is, we in the midst, all right? Well, we at the end of it, we got one more day, all right? But we celebrate the holy days that Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai has given us, all right? So we're supposed to be celebrating Hanukkah. Instead, our people are caught up with Christmas, man. And they don't even have the understanding of what Christmas really represents. You see? They'll take their kids to the mall, you know, go sit them on Santa's lap. Santa probably a whole pedophile, you know, which that's a representation of Moloch. All right. Just like in the ancient times, they would sit Moloch on the lap. All right. I mean, they would sit the children on the lap of Moloch. All right. And then they will feed the children to the fire. So it's the same representation, man. That you go sit down on Santa's lap. OK. And it's basically, and he gives you a little candy cane and a gift. Next thing you know, you sitting on Santa's lap and you got this little demonic smirk, you know, laughing in the picture. Santa giving you a whole damn demon to take home with you. All right. And now when you go home, you done brought the curse home. All right. That's why you're not supposed to be around wickedness, man, around anything that's a curse, because then you'll be cursed like onto it, as the scriptures say. It says, bring no abomination into thy home, lest thou be cursed like it. All right. So these people, you know, they'll go take a picture with Santa, you know, bring that picture home. All right. Bring their little candy cane home. And the whole time it was basically a spiritual representation of when children was being fed to Moloch and being sat on their lap. All right. And then thrown into a furnace of fire, man, and sacrificed. You see? That's the type of shit that you worship instead of worshiping what you're supposed to be doing. All right. Hanukkah is beautiful. You know, you got 8 days of gifts. Here it is. Esau in his Christmas, right? He'll make you fucking go hard as hell and waste all your money for the month, barely be able to pay your rent, right? And pay your bills because you done spent thousands of dollars for one damn day. And then right after that, your kid's gonna be some abominated ass children with a bunch of curses, being ungrateful, all right? You and your family, you know, getting together, eating at a table, and next thing you know, y'all arguing after the holidays, you know? Then you're arguing all the way down to New Year's Eve. Then you want to make a New Year's resolution of being better people to each other and being a better family. And then y'all still go right back to your miseries, man. So they all morning I've been hearing that shit. Santa Claus on his damn fire truck, man. Throwing candy canes everywhere, man. But anyway, let's get back to this, right? So, you know, trusting in the shadow of Egypt, all right, it's gonna be your total confusion, all right, here in Babylon the Great, which that's spiritual, because this place is known as Babylon the Great, and when you go into Babylon, right, the word goes back to Babel, and Babel means what? Babel means confusion, all right. So is there not confusion all over America? You know, you got men thinking that they women thinking that they men, all right. This place is ass backwards, all right. Where darkness is considered the light. Let's grab that real quick. This is Isaiah 5:20. And it says, woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay? Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. You see? So again, you know, these people think they're wise in their own sight, all right, following after the ways of Babylon the Great. Because why? Because Esau's always been in that mentality of thinking that his way is the right way. You see? From the beginning, right? Even all the way from the garden, when you understand it and receive it through the Spirit, all right? Even all the way back to the garden, this devil thought that his way was the right way. He was always contrary and against Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. So everything that he has taught us here in Babylon the Great, America, right, has always been contrary to the word of the Lord, all right? And it's ultimately been to make our people, all right, the Hebrew Israelites, right, sin against their master. You see, and that's why we're still in captivity to this day. Okay, we've been it's a reproach, it's a curse that's been put upon us because we have constantly went against our power. You see, so what the job of the so-called white man is to do, right, is that he's supposed to have you in constant sin, all right, to make you fall before your maker. And every time that we went against our maker, all right, we will always hand it over to our enemies. We were always into another captivity. You see, so his job is to make you sin, so his houses can continue forever. So he can have continual power over you, because your power will not come back and save you because you're against him. You see? But see, now the time has come that the Lord has raised up, all right, 7,000 men that shall not bow their knee down to Baal. All right? 7,000, the number 7 goes into a complete number. You see? So now the Lord has a complete number, which is going to be of the elect. Okay, the elect is going to turn back to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and not be contrary onto him anymore. You see, and then in his sight we're going to be able to live, and that's why this place is coming down little by little. This is why the Lord is destroying this place. All right, from the outside, from the inside out. Okay, and he consuming this place with the spirit of his mouth, which the spirit of his mouth is what? The prophets. All right, which have always been around since the beginning of time. Okay, we've always been out here preaching the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. You see, we were always wicked at one point, you know, but we would end up turning back to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai through the Spirit, because it was in our spirit. All right, as the scripture says, it's the Spirit that beareth witness. All right, that we are the children of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, if we wasn't, all right, we would be like the rest of these 2/3, man. Still lost in darkness, casted into outer darkness, all right, living after their own, you know, their own interpretation of things, living after their own ways. Okay, we don't live on our own ways. We live on the ways that the Lord has given us through this book, to the best of our ability. We're not perfect, all right. We're not no better than the 2/3, okay, but we still are maneuvering in a certain manner that the Lord has required us to go in, all right. And that's all we can do, is try to keep his law, statutes, and commandments to the best of our ability, you know, finding our ways to draw ourselves closer to him, especially more than ever. Okay, so let's read this. Isaiah 47:1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right. So the Lord is saying that Babylon the Great, America, is going to come and sit down on the dust. All right. In the dust. The dust represents what? Confusion, man. Okay. That's, again, what this place is all about. It's about total confusion. Babel means confusion. So here it is, that because Babel means confusion, the Lord's going to sit this place down in confusion. All right. And it's very well so needed, because the name goes exactly what what's going to happen. Total confusion. Okay. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah. Okay. So it says, sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Yeah, because this place, all right, was this great place, right, that everybody, you know, runs to, you know. Everybody, this is a place where you could come and you can feel safe. Right, as the America puts it out to be, you know, land of the free, all right, home of the brave, the land of opportunity. Okay, so you got people that come from all over the world, right, they act and they think like their life is better, all right, but they think that they come from all the way from across the seas to make a better life here in America. All right, when you actually come over here, it's total hell. It's worse than what your countries are. You see. It might look like it on the outside, right? It might look like this place is a great place, But see, the longer you stay in this place, you realize that everything here is just poison. You see? So, you know, people thought this place was a tender and delicate place, man. A place where you can come and live your life and be free. Okay? But here, being free, all right, is going against Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, because that's what they wanted you to have. The spirit of that, do it as thy wilt spirit, you know? And that's exactly what our people do out here. All right? They'll have that spirit of just doing whatever the hell they want, because this is America. If you go to any other one of these countries, man, none of these other countries act like the way America acts, man. They abide by rules, and if you break those rules, there's heavy consequences for it. And there's heavy consequences here too, right? But remember, our people, see, the only ones that are targeted here, all right, is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. Because this is where most of our people is at. You know, remember, we were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? But one of the main places that we were scattered in, all right, is America, Babylon the Great, okay? So, really, they set you up with the okie doke, all right? The other nations, they actually progress here, all right? The other nations, when they come from their countries and they come over here, they're able to, you know, live a better lifestyle, okay? They get everything they want on this side, all right? Because they're all also contrary to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But when it comes to our people, okay, we completely lose on this side every single time. We're always the talk of the news, you know? We're always all over the papers, you know? To these people, we're a constant entertainment, you know? Everywhere you look, man, everybody comes from all over the world to see what? To see Jake as a laughing stock, all right? All these nations laugh at every single one of us, okay? So all these different nations come from all over the world, and they're able to prosper out here, man. But here it is that our people can't prosper for shit. They got to sell their soul out here to prosper. You see? And why they got to sell their soul? All right, because again, it goes back to them going against their power. All right, they go back against their power. They don't want, they in order for you to prosper here, you got to bow down to the so-called white man, right? Or you got to bow down to these other nations, all right? And have them look, and you have to look at them as they are your gods. You see? But you try to go do that shit in another nation, man. Okay? Matter of fact, the scriptures talk about, all right, that none of these other nations change their gods, right? Let's grab that. I believe that's in Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter. All right, but here it is. Our people change their gods every fucking day like they change their underwears, man. Right? This is Jeremiah 2 and give me 1 second. But my people have changed their gods, KJV. Yeah, it was 2. I was right on it. Passed right by it. So this is Jeremiah 2 and 11. Has a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods at all? You know? So here it is. These other nations ain't got no God. They don't have a God. We the only ones that have a God. All right? The God of Israel, the God of all creation, the God of all things, right? And these other nations ain't got no gods at all. All they got is gods of wood, stone, you know, bricks, plastic, all right, whatever you want to call it. They got all these different types of idols, man. And they actually stick to their gods. See, if our God was their gods, they would fucking do the will that is supposed to be done. All right? Because they are faithful to their gods. Whether they fake gods and idols or not, all right, they still showing you that they're faithful to their gods. But our people, what does it say? It says, but my people, all right, but my people have changed their glory for that which does not profit. You see? So all these nations never changed their gods, but our people have changed their God 1,000 times, man. You see? And it's a heavy thing for you to turn back to the Lord, man. Matter of fact, Let's grab this. This is Jeremiah 3:1. It says, they say if a man put away his wife and she go from him and become another man's, shall he return unto her again? All right. And you're not supposed to. You know, technically, when a woman leaves a man, all right, according to the scriptures, when a woman leaves a man, you're not supposed to take that woman back. Why? Because she is defiled. Okay. But here it is. This is how gracious our power is and how much mercy the Lord has upon our people without them realizing, man. Ungrateful asses. All right. Here it is that the Lord looks at us as a woman, all right, a delicate and comely woman. Okay. So the Lord was our husband, right? And we was his wife. And here it is that, as the scriptures tell you, all right, we went and we committed fornication with all these other gods. All right. We went to bed with all these other different nations, all right, and their philosophies. All right. And the Lord's still allowing you to turn back to him. Okay. So it says, shall he return unto her again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted? But thou hast played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. You see? So here it is that we played, all right, we played the harlot, okay, and went to bed with all these other nations and all these different philosophies, all these different idols and gods, all right, but the Lord still has mercy upon you on a daily basis by having you being able to turn back to the Lord, man. You see, that's what the significance of Yahweh Shai's sacrifice was, man. Because at one point, the Lord turned his face away from us, okay? And he didn't want nothing to do with us. But Yahweh Shai had to be crucified and had to give himself up as a sacrifice, man. All right, for us to be able to turn back to our power. For him to become the one that makes intercession between us and the Lord. You see? And none of our people nobody takes that into consideration in the nation of Israel, man. But see, here it is. They'll take into consideration these fucking gods that are nothing but statues, dumb, blind, deaf. You see, that could do no miracles. You see, that's how wicked our people are, man. That's what it means that these people are stiff-necked and stiff-hearted. All right. Here it is. We'll come out here while it's freezing, right? Below zero, because it's going to get even colder and colder. And the only men you're going to see out here is the true men of the Lord, all right, preaching the word of the Lord, telling you to turn back, telling you that we're in the final stages of these last warnings, okay? And the Lord shows you mercy every day by bringing, you know, his men out here to turn you back to the Lord, all right? Let me grab this. This is... This is 2 Chronicles 36 and 15. Second Chronicles 36 and 15, and it says, and the Lord Yahweh, power of their fathers, sent them by his messengers. All right, who's his messengers? His prophets, man. All right, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling temple. You see? So here it is that the Lord shows you compassion on a daily basis, man. He's showing you mercy, all right, by still having the doors of mercy open onto you, by having the prophet still preaching the word. You see? But that time is about to be taken out. All right? That time is about to finally run out. Because here it is, ever since 2020, and the Lord's been he's been had his prophets out here for a while, man. Since the late 1960s, okay, starting with Abba Bivens, okay, and you know all the way till now, more than ever. And 2020 was a heavy year because that was the part of a great awakening, man, for our people. That's why you see more brothers out here preaching the word more than ever, okay, and people have been waking up left to right. To the point where, see, this is why they're about to take out the internet, because through the internet is how we've woken up our people. Okay? So this truth that's gone out, all right, as the scriptures tell you in 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, right? The truth that's been so long without fruit shall finally be declared. All right? So that truth has been gone for a long ass time, all right? But through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, having compassion on his people, right? He has brought more prophets than we've ever had on these highways and hedges to give you the warning sign, man, to give you this truth, okay? And our people don't want to turn back to the Lord, right? So it says, and the Lord Yahweh, power of their fathers, sent them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of Yahweh and despised his words and misused his prophets until the wrath of the Lord Yahweh arose against his people till there was no remedy. You see? So all they did was just mock and laugh and scorn. That's how you know we're in the times of Noah, man. The same exact times of Noah. All right? Noah was prophesying for 120 years, building an ark, right? And trying to prepare the people. All right? And what ended up happening? The Lord only saved 8 people, man. Right? Noah and his 3 sons and then all their wives. 8 people were saved, man. So the Lord, all right, is doing the same thing spiritually again. And spiritually, they're doing the same exact thing by laughing, mocking the prophets. All right, thinking that everything that's coming out of our mouth is hatred and bullshit. Okay? If we weren't if this was nonsense, right, and this wasn't the truth, why are we such a threat, all right, to America? Why are we such a threat, all right, to these tiny hats out there in our homeland? You see? Why are they trying to bring out all these different draconian laws to get at the men of the Lord? Okay? Why are they trying to ban so much people preaching from the streets? And it's not even these Christians, all right, or these Catholics that are preaching on the street. We could care less about them. Ain't none of them bringing no truth to you other than confusion. All right. Here it is. They ain't knocking down no churches. All right. But see, they want to break down the poor man that's on the highways and hedges. All right. Simply just bringing out the word of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua through a Bible. Why do you think they doing that, man? Because what we have right here, what we possess through the spirit is the truth. Okay. And people tell the truth and it hurts. So we're constantly hurting these people, all right, by bringing out the word of the Lord, all right? And we're bringing down, all right, the strongholds that hold this place down. You see? And that's why Babylon the Great is going to be casted into that dust, into confusion, all right? Showing you that this place was never the way, all right? Showing you that all these different religions, all these different gods were not the way. Okay? The Lord's word is stronger than a 2-edged sword, as it tells you in Hebrews, the 4th chapter, man, verse 12. All right? Matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. This is Hebrews 4 and 12. And it says, for the word of Yahweh is quick and powerful and sharper than any 2-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit and of the joints and marrow, and is a discerner of the thoughts and intents of the heart. All right. So this word is quick and powerful. Okay. So every single time we speak it, all right, it's powerfully going out throughout the whole entire earth. Okay. Whether these people listen or not, all right, what it does is it does something to your spirit, man. Okay? If you're meant to resonate with the spirit, it's going to bring you to this calling. All right? If you're not one that resonates with the spirit, it's going to beat you up spiritually, man. It's going to cut you spiritually. That's why most of these people got something to, say. That's why they become scoffers and mockers, They start talking bullshit to us, pretty much want to spit in our faces, just like they did when Yahushua was on the scene, man. Constantly, making mockery of the Lord, to the point where when it came down to it, they had to beat our Lord up, man. They had to, they did things to that nobody can handle. All right. The Lord went through so much shit, man, for us to receive this word. All right. And these people don't have the true understanding of that significance, man. The Lord had to sacrifice himself for us to be able to go back to our power, all right, for us to actually understand this comforter, this word, all right, because that's what this is. This is a comforter to you. In a place of darkness, in a place of darkness, in a place of evil, right? This is the only thing we have left that brings us peace, that brings us comfort, is this word. Because once you know who you are, man, you realize that this place is just a shithole that we're living in. All right, this is why that's what the true hell is. Hell ain't when you die and you go down into a place of fire. All right, hell is the place that we're living on every day. And the only ones that's going through hell is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man. Okay? We're the only ones that experience true hell. All these nations living it up, man. All these nations is eating off of you, man. All these nations is getting riches and getting past and getting by however they feel like it, man. And they the true scum of the earth. You see? But while our people out here sitting, working, busting their ass 24/7, right? At the bottom of society, trying to make it through, trying to make ends meet, right? Here it is that you want to talk about that you're not living in hell, man. We live in hell on a daily basis. Just waking up and opening your eyes to this place is pure hell. Okay? So again, this is this word is quick and powerful. Okay? It's a discerner in the intents of the heart. All right? This is why us bringing out this word, Esau hates us, man. The same way the Lord hates Esau, Esau hate us, because we are his people, we are his children. All right, and because we're able to tap into his thoughts before he can even tap into ours, this is why he's trying to bring you, you know, things like the microchip, all right, to be able to have that tapping into your thoughts, because he don't have the spirit to do that. But we got the spirit to do that because the Lord has given us this word to tap into your thoughts. Okay, so going back, right, to Isaiah 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And why is this place, all right, called a virgin? Why is it being called what does it say? It says, come sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter. It's being called a virgin daughter. Why? Because a virgin is what? Someone that has not, a woman that hasn't been touched. All right. And Babylon the Great is the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, man. Okay. Matter of fact, let's grab this. This is Revelations 18. All right. This is Revelations 18, and I'll take it from 1. It says, and after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. All right, and that's talking about Yahushua, right? And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunken the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. You see, that's why she's considered a whore. Babylon, America is considered a whore because all these different philosophies, man, all these different nations going and following after the ways of her ways. All right, following after her philosophies. Okay, following after her contrary ways of the Lord. You see, it says, all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Yeah, see, all these other nations prosper, all right, off of America. All right. And why do they prosper off of America? Because America holds our people, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. All right. So they're able to prosper off of us. All right. We build everything off our bloody backs, man. All right. They feed us all these different idols and all these different, you know, sinful things that make us go after them. All All right. See, we're spiritual people, man. So spiritually, they know how to mess with our minds, man. All right. Us being spiritual, this is how they're able to feed us different idols. Okay. Shalom, Malak, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Barakatah. You see, they make us go after every single thing that's against the Lord. All right. And they sell it to you here, man. They'll sell you abominations and sins. All right. Right here in America on a daily basis. All right. They'll send you. They'll send you sell you wicked devices that the Lord straight up told us, be not ignorant to Satan's devices. But here it is. They constantly sell you devices on a daily basis. All right, to keep you distracted, to keep you from knowing who you are. They feed you the bread in the circuses. All right, so you could be entertained, and you make it a god, and you worship these things. You worship sports. You know, you worship football. Okay, basketball, baseball. You worship their schools. You worship their jobs. You see, who are the ones that they constantly using for these things, man? You jakes, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You see, so that these other nations have been able to be abundant, all right, through everything that America has taught all these other nations to use against us. You see, it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, man. So the Lord is commanding us to come out of the ways of Babylon the Great, you see, because her sins have reached onto the heavens, okay? And that's why the Lord's going to destroy America, all right? Because this place is polluted. It's, as the scriptures tell you in 2nd Ezra, right? All right, their wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, okay? This place is so filthy and abominated, all right, that the Lord looks at this place every day and is pissed off. Scriptures tell you that the Lord is angry with the wicked every day, okay? So the most wickedness comes from America, right? It says, and what's the plagues that's going to be received, man? Pertaining to Zechariah, the 14th chapter, verse 12, all right? And this is the plagues, all right? Matter of fact, let's just grab it real quick. This is Zechariah. Matter of fact, let me grab it from my phone because I'm holding. This is Zechariah 14 and 12. If I can get it out. Zechariah 14 and 12. And it says, and this is the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. All right. And that's going to be by the ways of thermonuclear missiles, man. 200 million missiles being hit, all right, here in Babylon the Great. None of them going to break their ranks. Why you think the Lord has stirred up the minds of all these different nations, all right, and starting to gather them into the valley of Jehoshaphat, all right, for World War III? Okay. The Lord said, the second war is past, the third war come quickly. All right. Woes representing the world wars. Woes representing destruction. Okay. So the plague that's going to hit America is going to be 200 million missiles coming from World War III. This is why you have all these nations rising up against each other, as it tells you in Matthew, the 24th chapter. Nation shall rise against nation. You know, you will hear wars and rumors of wars. You hear about it every single day. They're about to bring out a draft to this place, man. All you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, a lot of y'all gonna go to war and die off, men and women. Okay? The draft is right around the corner. Here it is that the draft is happening internationally with all these other nations, and they're preparing for war. But here you got in America people living it up, partying up, and being fags and shit. You know? The whole military of America is filled with fags. Okay, and then they want to get mad when you talk about it. Then they want to knock your channel off when you talk about a whole bunch of fagonometry going on around you. But that's what this place is about. That's the philosophies. That's the wine and the fornication that our people drink on every single day. You know, that's what these other nations have followed after. to the point where they come here to America and then they go take that shit back to their country. You see? So it says, for her sins have reached onto heavens, right? Reached onto the heaven, and Yahweh has remembered her iniquities. Remember even her even as she reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she has filled to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she said in her heart, I sit as a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. You see? So that's why the Lord said, come sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. All right? Because she is a place, America is a place that has never been touched. Okay? At one point, everybody was afraid of America because America was a powerhouse. You see? They had the atomic bomb. All right? And then everybody feared them when they dropped the atomic bomb in Hiroshima, right? But see, now all these other nations have thermonuclear missiles. They have the power, all right, that the same exact power that America got. So now they're showing their teeth. Now they're showing that how gritty they could get. Okay? So this place eventually has to fall down because it was the powerhouse of the world. It was the hammer of the world. Matter of fact, let's grab that. How has the hammer fallen, KJV? Right? This is Jeremiah 50 and 23. It says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? You see? So at one point, all right, the Lord's going to destroy this place to the point where that's what's going to be said. Damn, how has the hammer, the one that was ruling everything around this place, right? That had power over everybody, all right, that had the power of the fatness of the earth, okay? How are they brought down? You see? And it's going to be coming through the ways of these other nations and mostly Russia, man. Russia's going to be the one to take out America through the spirit, according to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, okay? And then all her allies, right, are going to turn against her, as the scriptures say, that the whore, the beast shall hate the whore, you see? So all these nations that were once in league, all right, with America, and they were allies of America, they're going to turn against America, and they're going to destroy her along with Russia and all these other nations, man. See, that's why 200 million missiles is going to hit America, because you're going to have all these different nations shooting their nuclear power towards America. All right. And that's just going to be through the spirit of the Lord, because the Lord hates this place, man. See, America's never going to be inhabited again from New York to California. All right. It's going to be just as it's going to be overthrown as Sodom and Gomorrah was overthrown, to the point where you cannot live where Sodom and Gomorrah was today, because all the sulfur, all right, nothing grows in that place, man. So America's going to be in the same exact mode, okay? You're never going to hear of America again. No one's going to be able to inhabit America again, okay? It's going to be a place, it's going to be a habitation of unclean birds, man, ravens and vultures, okay? You're going to have a bunch of desert and island animals living here, you see? And it's very well needed because of the wickedness of this place. All right. So this place has lived deliciously. All right. Let's go back to Isaiah 47, right? Give me 1 second. I was looking at something real quick. Wanted to bring this out. As a matter of fact, let me keep reading in Revelations 18, right? So it says, how much she, verse 7, how much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. And give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit as a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahushai who judgeth her. You see? So this place is going to be burned with fire. How much more do you need us to tell you this shit, man? How much more do you need us to tell you the warning signs that the Lord keeps giving you that Jacob's trouble is going to come about? All right? That the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast, is going to be presented and made mandatory upon the whole world, which is going to be the hour of temptation. All right? That World War III, whether you like it or not, all right, is going to happen, and America is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear missiles, straight fire. Okay? It says, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. All right. So all these nations are going to wail. All right. They're going to actually witness America being annihilated, man, from afar. You see? And that's how you know that the earth is not going to destroy everything. All right. Because there's going to be certain places. See, this whole place is going to end. Right. But the Lord going to preserve certain places for a reason. All right. But the main place is going to be destroyed. The hardest is going to be Israel. All right. And it's going to be America because they both in cahoots together. All right. And Israel's our homeland. And it's big. And it's so filthy with the most filthy people on earth, man, with the true scum of the earth. Because people think that those people that are out there in Israel are really the true Hebrew Israelites, man. They ain't nobody, man. You see? So the Lord going to have this place annihilated, right, along with Israel, and then these other nations are going to be able to see it from afar off. Okay? It says, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Why are they going to lament for her? Because this was their cash cow, man. This is the place that they were making, all right, all their money off of. This is where they had their abundance in. Okay, one of the main ones that's gonna cry is gonna be China, man. China's the one that wants to live exactly like America on a daily basis. All right. As a matter of fact, let's grab that. This is Second Esdras 15 and 47, 46. And thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person. Woe be unto her, unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her, and hast decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions. Therefore saith Yahweh, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses with the destruction and death. All right. And that's why you see, China always going through a lot of hell too, crazy ass earthquakes, they be going. That's why you see them with the system that is going to be placed here in America. They're already placed with that system. You see, they're already going through true hell out there, man. They're already being controlled by their government. All right. The same way that America's going to be controlled here. You see? Shalom, Sister Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah. Okay? So that's just an example of showing you that all these different nations, all right, have drank have went to bed with America. You see, have fornicated with America in her ways. Okay? So you're gonna see them from afar off, they're gonna see America, their cash cow, being destroyed and being put up in flames. Okay, and they're gonna bewail it. All right, because then that's it. There's no more of you, prospering the way you've been prospering this whole time. All these other nations not prospering. Okay, that's how you know that nobody's gonna be next. Because once America's done, once America's gone, how the hell you gonna be able to prosper when that was your cash cow? You see, you're not gonna be able to prosper because all the Israelites that are here they're gonna be disintegrated. Whoever here is in America is going to be disintegrated. Ain't nobody going to be left in America. All right? If you got people that's trying to hide in bunkers in America, you're not going to make it. You're going to die off out here, man. You see, the ones that are going to make it is going to be these elites, and they're not going to be here in America. They're going to be in their bunkers in other parts of the world. You see, but everything here in America is going to be completely annihilated. So once America's taken out the way, okay, no one is going to be able to prosper. Everybody going to be at rock bottom. All right, because there ain't going to be no more Israelites for you to prosper off of. Because this is where all our people are. Yeah, we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Definitely. You see, you have a lot of our people that are among these other nations, but the majority of them, 75% of them, 80% of them, they all here in America. Okay. The 1/3 that's going to be saved, man, most of them going to be here from America. So you either going to die here in America or you're going to be beamed up on the ship in America. You see? So it goes back to Revelations 18 and 10. I'll take it from mine again. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her. And when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And look, and this place is going to be destroyed in 1 hour, man. You see, in 1 hour is this place going to be destroyed. The Lord is going to snap fingers and that's it. 1 hour to the Lord is a snap of his finger. Dead ass. Okay? So if anybody thinks that America is going to be able to prevail against the Lord, you're not going to be able to. All right? The Lord said that they're going to be war in heaven. You know? They're not going to be able to prevail when Yahushua cracked them clouds and all these nations try to turn to fight against Yahushua with their military jets and military power. All right? The main one being Esau. They're not going to be able to prevail. Right? It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and thy manner of vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of most precious wood, of brass and iron and marble, cinnamon, odors, ointments, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, beasts, sheep, horses, chariots, and slaves, and souls of men. See, all of that is going to be gone. All right? That's the main place. This is the main place where all that shit comes from, man. See, this is why this is called that golden city, Babylon the Great. All right? This is why to the world, all right, everybody comes from all over just to come in and try to set up shop here and make a better living. Okay? Because all these different products are here all the way down to souls of men and slaves, man. Showing you that we're still in captivity toward this day, as the scriptures tell you, man. And Baruch 3 and 8, right? We're subject to payments. You know, you got a social security card, you got a birth certificate, you know, you're in modern day slavery here. You know, you want to go and buy slaves, right? Come down to America from your country and set up shop here in America. And you use these slaves that are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, and you can prosper off of their ass. You can pay their ass minimum wage, all right, while you make all this money off of your company, all right, off the backs of slaves, man. You see? It says, the merchants and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them there no more at all. Yeah. You know, everything that you lusted for, all right? That's why the Lord told you to come up out of the ways of Babylon. Told you not to lust for the things that your eyes lust for, man. Okay? Because everything here is made to destroy you. See, what takes it, what gets your mind going is when these people come to America, they see the technologies that's out here. They see all these fucking bright lights, you know. They'll come to, especially New York. One of the main spots that everybody go to is what? New York, you know. They go to New York because that's the Mecca, right? That's the headquarters of America. People come to New York and they wow, look at all these bright lights. They go down to Times Square. They see all this money being made down in Manhattan and shit. And people just lust after that shit. They're like, wow, you see? This what's this place that's so great? Okay? Matter of fact, you had when John the Revelator was seeing these things in his vision, the Lord told him, what the hell you lusting for that shit for? It's gonna destroy you. You see? That's a place that's gonna destroy our people. Okay? And that's how it is today, man. Our people are fascinated with everything that America has to offer, you know? And that's why they keep you in the loophole with all these different inventions, you know? All these different technologies. Again, all the bread and circuses, all these different amusement parks. You go to these other places, man, they ain't got amusement parks and shit like that. But you come here in America, they got all types of things that's going to sidetrack you and keep you, you know, it's going to keep you distracted. All right. That's what this place is. That's the job of this place, is to keep you distracted. All right. From who you truly are and what's your true heritage. Right. So it says the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, for in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, as many as trade by sea, stood far off. Yeah. Again, this is why you got all these different what do you call them? Where all these different ships come in, you know, with all these exports and imports, okay, showing you that everything comes from all these different countries, and they're all making money off of our people here in America, man. You see? It says, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Okay? Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for Yahweh has avenged you on her. And that's going to be the beauty of it, man. Because when we get beamed up into the chariots, we're going to be able to witness the fall of our enemies, man. We're going to be able to witness America, Babylon the Great, being destroyed, man, from the chariots. Okay? Literally, we're going to watch from the chariots, watching America become that lake of fire. All right? And that lake of fire is not a lake that's just got, you know, a whole bunch of water with fire on it. All right? That lake of fire is from them 200 million missiles of hitting America and annihilating this place, man. Because it's going to look from the chariots, it's going to look like a big lake of fire. It's just going to be one big ass flame. Okay? And that's what we yearn for on a daily basis, man. We can't wait to see America be destroyed. All right? Because once America is destroyed, all right, that's when when the Lord Yahweh Shai is going to bring peace to this place, man. Matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. 21 in Revelations, right? (21 and 1) in Revelations. And I saw a new heaven. Matter of fact, yeah, 21. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the power out of heaven, be prepared as a bride adorned for a husband. So when this place gets annihilated, right? When we get beamed up into the chariots, man, we're going to be basically on the chariots. There's going to be a whole ceremony where the Lord going to crown his elect, all right, with crowns upon their heads, all right? And then right after that, once this place is completely destroyed, we're gonna be brought down from them chariots, man, and see that new kingdom is gonna be brought, is gonna be into play. It's gonna be in full effect. Okay. It says, come down from heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of the heavens saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men. Yeah, it's going to be with the 144,000, 12,000 from each tribe. All right. And it's going to be all men. Okay. It says, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them and be their power. And Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. You see? And he that sat upon the throne, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. You see? And that's what we can't wait for that, man. We can't wait for America to be destroyed. All right. So we can wake up in the kingdom, man. You see? Well, we don't have to cry anymore. We don't have to experience death. We don't have to experience no captivities, bloodshed. Okay. Our minds going off because of Satan making it go off. You know, we're going to be with the law, statutes, and commandments in our inward parts, man. And then Yahweh Shah is going to reign, all right, for 1,000 years. Right? Having all these different nations under subjection. All right. They're going to be serving in captivity. Okay. And then Esau, Edom being the main one that's going to be annihilated and disintegrated, man. Never to be inhabited again. Anywhere. You ain't never going to see no damn so-called white man anywhere, man. Right? Which I'll grab that real quick. This is Revelations 20:4. And I saw thrones, and they that sat upon them, judgment was given unto them, and I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahweh Shai and for the word of Yahweh, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Hamashiach 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power. But they shall be priests of Yahweh and of Hamashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years, man. So we're going to be able to reign. See, we're going to be the first fruits with Yahweh Shai in the kingdom, being able to experience all this, man. Being able to see Yahweh Shai putting these nations into subjection, all right? Into seeing Yahweh Shai bring righteousness upon the earth, you know? Seeing all these other nations in captivity, getting their ass whooped, okay? That's why we do this for, man. So we could be partakers of that with Yahweh Shai. So we constantly will say, but abad babal, all right? Meaning what? Death to this place, man. Death to Babylon the Great, okay? So let's go back to Isaiah 47, okay? And 1, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground on the ground there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. All right. Why? Now we understand why it's called tender and delicate, man. All right. Because this place constantly prospers. This place is, you know, come here and do what thou wilt, spirit. Do whatever you want, and you'll be all right. Okay. This place shows much love. When someone is tender and delicate, they show you all this love. So America shows love to all these other nations around the world and all these different philosophies, and tells them, yeah, bring all your philosophies here to America. All right. Bring everything that you have that's wicked as hell and bring it here and set up shop. All right. So we could keep our slaves in subjection. You see? So we can continue to rule over and over upon them. You see? And that's why you see all these damn Americans, they going crazy right now, because they see that their kingdom is fallen. All right. As the scriptures say, if Satan cast out Satan, shall the kingdom not stand. So all these Americans here are going buck wild because they see that their kingdom is falling apart. You see? And they don't want that to happen, because once this place falls apart, they're out of rulership. They're out of power. You see? So it says, take the millstones and grind mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. And that's exposing this whore, right? That's what a whore does, right? She uncovers her thighs, right? She makes bare the leg. You see? So she sexualizes you, right? And she makes herself look good. Okay, and that's what America does. You know? Everything here is sexualized. Everything here is about making themselves look good, like this is the place to be. All right, but at the same time, as her making herself the place to be, the Lord is exposing her. All right, as the Lord said, I have made Esau bare. Jeremiah 49:10. I have made Esau bare that he can no longer hide himself. That's why this place is exposing herself the way she does, because she can no longer hide who she really is. You see, if you haven't figured it out that America is Babylon the Great, right? Well, then there's a damn problem with you. You one of the main problems here in America, and you got to die with America, man. Because it's evident, right? It's easy to figure out that America is Babylon the Great, because there's no greater city. You see, so in those last days, it was speaking about a great city that was going to be destroyed, and we know that this is the greatest city out of all these different countries. All right, we know that this is the place that's the greatest, because all these other nations is coming around the world just to come here and set up shop, right? So look for a better time. I mean, a better life, right? So it says, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yeah, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance. I will not meet thee as a man. Yeah, and the Lord is not coming as a man. You see, when Yahushua came on the scene, all right, he came as a man. See, but this time the Lord gonna come as an angelic power. See, that's why he gonna destroy this place. All right, let's grab Isaiah 63. It says, who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? All right, this that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. Okay, and the greatness of his strength is going to be the chariots. Okay, the Lord going to come back the same way the Lord ascended into the clouds, right? When you read Acts, all right, the first chapter, all right, when the men of Galilee were astonished, they were like, oh shit, what the hell? They seen Yahushua being beamed up into a chariot, right? Well, the same way that he was beamed up into the chariot is the same way that he gonna come back, as the scriptures say. So the Lord gonna come back in the greatness of his strength, right? It says, and Basra, all right, is a representation of America. So him having dyed garments, all right, from Basra, all right, is showing the blood shed that's on his garments, which is a spiritual, it's a spiritual metaphor being said, because all the death that the Lord's gonna bring upon this place, man. You see, the Lord is a man of war, so the Lord coming back to wage war on this place. That's why he's setting up war now. Look, the scripture said that the Lord he mustereth the host of the battle. All right, so everything that you see happening, right, with all these different nations setting up for world war, all right, it's actually coming of the Lord. He's setting them up where he needs to have them for when he comes back, right? It says, wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden the winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in mine anger, and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. For the day of vengeance is in mine heart, and the year of my redeemed is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. I will tread down the people in mine anger and make them drunk in my fury, and I will bring down their strength to the earth. You see, and see that's how you know that was their strength. America, Babylon the Great being their strength. Okay, because that's how these other nations were able to prosper. All right, off of the strength of America, off of the strength of Babylon the Great. Why? Because they have us as slaves in this place, man. Everything, man. Everything built in the world, man, is built off the backs of our people, man. You know, you'll go look at like the 7 wonders of the earth and shit. You know, one of them being the pyramids out there in Giza. All right, when people see them things, they're like, "Wow, it was a bunch of aliens," or you know, it was a higher power that did these things. Nah, man, that shit was built off of the backs of Israelites, man, slaves. You see. So everything here, everything around the world that is something that's, you know, beautiful or you know, has this cultural meaning, all right, is built off our backs, man. You see? And especially everything nowadays, all right, is built off of the strength of America. Because America's that Babylon the Great, all right, where everybody runs to and is able to trade back and forth, you know, make themselves rich. And then they, at the same time, America makes themselves rich off of these other nations. They just sitting there using each other, basically, you know? So let's continue on. Salakia. Matter of fact, let me go back to Isaiah 47. All right, so Yahweh Shai gonna come back in the greatness of his strength, man. All right, and that's gonna be on them chariots. So let's finish up Isaiah 47. So it says 5. It says, "Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms." You see? So this place, all right, is called the Lady of Kingdoms. All right, she sits as a queen and she says, "I am no widow." You see, thinking that, you know, the pride of her heart, all right, as the scriptures tell you that Obadiah, right, that Esau, the pride of his heart has deceived thee. Okay, so the pride of this place, man, it you know, has exceeded into the heavens, man. All right, they pretty much try to spit in the Lord's face on a daily basis, man, with their pride, showing that, hey, look, I'm doing all this wickedness and you still haven't destroyed me. I still got all your people in captivity, right? And you still haven't came back and redeemed them. You see, and that's why they're ignorant for that, man. Thinking that our Lord was never going to come back for his people. All right? The Lord was just waiting and letting you accumulate and pile up all your sins. All right? So when that time came that he came to destroy this place, there was no question about it. You see? There was nothing that was going to hold him back. All right? And that's why when he does come to destroy this place, he's going to let it all out with 200 million missiles. Okay? Not breaking, not one of them missiles going to break rank, man. You see? And that's going to be the power of the Lord. All right? Let's grab Malachi. Real quick. This is Malachi 4. Hold on, you know what? Just do this because my fingers is frozen. This is Malachi 4:1. Malachi 4:1. "For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch." All right. So because of these people's pride, right, the Lord going to destroy this place with thermonuclear missiles. All right. And what did the Lord say in Second Ezra, the 8th chapter, verse 50, man? That many great miseries shall be done to them that lived in pride in the latter days, man. That's why there's going to be all types of tribulations happening on this place, man. You know, between, you know, civil war, Jacob's trouble, okay? The main misery is going to be the hour of temptation when the Lord has you line up, all right, for that microchip, that RFID chip, which is the true mark of the beast, okay? People going to take it, and the Lord going to burn you with fire, man. That's why the missiles is going to end up coming, because our people, right, are going to take that as their God, all right? See, these other nations could take it all they want because they ain't got no God, but the Lord's still going to destroy you for the wickedness that you brought upon this place, that you help, you know, taking all the wickedness of this place and promoting it. You see, you help promote this place. All right, so you have to die with this place also, because you're just as filthy as Esau, right? You're just as filthy as the rest of the people that are here in America. All right, and then the 2/3 of our people are even more filthy, because the Lord said that our people has exceedingly they have overpassed the deeds of the wicked, man. You see, so now you have become more wicked than Esau himself, and to the sight of the Lord, he can't stand that, man. He hates that you have become more wicked than the wicked man himself. Okay, that's why you are considered as the multitude that's going the multitude that's born in vain. That's why you got to go. That's why you have to learn by death and pain. Okay, this is 47, Isaiah 47 and Salakia 6. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Yeah. You know, the Lord was pissed off at us. He hid his face from us. You know, he gave us into the hands of our enemies for being, you know, dishonorable, you know, for worshiping these other idols and worshiping these other gods in these polluted ways. Right. It says, thou did show them and given them into thy hand, thou did show them no mercy. Upon the ancient has thou very heavily laid the yoke. Okay, yeah, to the point where each and one of them had their hands in the cookie jar when it came to our slavery, man. Okay, it said, and thou said, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou did not lay these things to thy heart, neither did remember the latter end of it. Yeah. See, they thought that they were going to be able to just do this for the rest of their days, and they were going to just live off of the backs of the Israelites, man. But they didn't put this to their mind. They didn't put to their heart, all right? Because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is not in their thoughts, okay? They got so caught up in having us as slaves and living off of us, all right, and prospering off of us, that they forgot that we actually have a power. You see? And the power was watching you this whole time, recording every single thing that you have done, all right, and just been writing it down in this little book, right? Writing it down in this book until the time came for judgment that you had to go to court and see the judge, all right? And the judge was going to give you your sentence, you see? And now the time has come that the Lord is ready to give you, all right, your sentence in the courtroom, all right? All you nations, and the main one being Esau, Edom, all right? And the judgment is death, life, life in prison, you see? It says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. It goes that pride again. All right. It says, but these two things shall come to that was spiritual. He said, you're good. That's good. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, and one day the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. You see, so for all the sorceries and the witchcraft that this place has constantly done over and over on our people, all right, there's a reward for that, man. You see, and one day, all right, this place is going to be annihilated. Widowhood, man. Okay, you're going to be finally touched, and you're going to lose everything that you ever had, and it's going to be disintegrated into pieces. Okay, it says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Yeah, that's what America does. They think that their wickedness, that they think that their God, Satan, right, is going to be there for them when they don't even understand that Satan is ran by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. You see? The scriptures tell you that in James, the 2nd chapter, that the devils and the demons tremble, you know, when they hear the word of the Lord. You see? They take orders from the Lord. Yeah, Satan takes orders from the Lord. Spiritual counter Satan takes orders from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay? Yahweh Shai is the one that created all these different idols. Okay? All these different gods. You see, he put them in your faces because you had no God. And here it is that and with their own gods, they've been brainwashed and put under delusion, all right, thinking that their own gods was going to be able to save them, man. You see? It says, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it has perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am and none else beside thee. You see? And that's what happens when you have constant wickedness in your mind. All right, it pollutes your judgment. All right, you come under that strong delusion, you know, believing in these guys that don't even speak, you know, that can't save you, that are deaf, blinded. Okay, each and one of them, right? they sat there dumb as hell, not making not a movement. All right, you thought that he was gonna come to life and save you. You thought that that wickedness of that idol and statue was going to come to life and do something good for you. Right? It says, therefore shall evil come upon thee. Yeah, the true evil. Here it is that you wanted to do all this witchcraft and sorceries, right? When you read Wisdom of Solomon, I think it's the 15th chapter, all right? 14th chapter around there. Might be, actually, you know what? It's the 17th chapter. It's definitely the 17th chapter. All right. And it goes into when the Egyptians were doing their witchcraft and their sorceries, but when Yahweh Shai came with his magic, right? When he came with his power, they was scared as hell, man. They couldn't even fathom what the hell was going on. You know, the Lord was bringing monstrous apparitions, you know, vexation of the spirit upon them, you know, vivid apparitions also. That's it. All that's going to be done here today. Okay. In these last days, when all hell breaking loose, you're going to see shit that you ain't never seen, man. You're going to see things that are out of movies, man. Because there's so much demons here that the Lord going to take the demons that are here and he going to turn them against them. Their own demons and their own little, you know, witchcraft that they believe in, all right, is going to turn against them because, again, them demons, all right, they all go after, they all listen to what Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai says. So once the Lord turns them same demons that you were using to put us into witchcraft and sorceries, he going to turn them against you, all right, and then you're going to see the true power of the Lord, man. He going to make them worse demons than what you had them, than what you saw, what you were visioning. You see? It says, therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with thy multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth, if so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly procrastinate, prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. You know, every single one of those gods that you worshipped in, that witchcraft that you believed in, right? Let's see if they were real gods. Okay. See, that's why a lot of them gonna go. That's why most of these people gonna try to hide. You know, your elites are gonna try to hide when they realize that the Lord, you know, coming with his wrath. You know what do they say? You know, let the rocks fall down on us to save us, to hide us from the wrath of the Lord. You know, and even when the Lord comes and destroys this place and brings the wrath upon them, man, they're still not gonna repent from their evil doings, man. They're still not gonna repent from all the sorceries that they done did. All right, from all the wicked sorceries they done did, from all the murders they made happen. Okay, they're not gonna repent from that. Even after the Lord just annihilates this place, right? And this place is blown into smithereens, they're still gonna be in their little rat holes, all right, not repenting, man. You see? But they're gonna realize that, damn, the God that I was worshiping upon, right? These satanic rituals that I was making, that I was doing, ain't none of this shit saved me. All right, because it was all a delusion. All right, it was all happening at the moment because the Lord was separating the sheep from the goats, the ones that truly believed in the Lord and the ones that didn't. He was teaching us a lesson not to worship no other gods. All right, but see, the Lord's still gonna have that mercy on Jake. You know, the Lord, even our wicked people that are 2/3, they're gonna come back in the kingdom. They're just gonna have to come back in the kingdom with their head down. You know, pretty much saying to themselves, I wish I would have listened. I should have took heed to the word that the prophets was bringing out. You know, it was basically a lesson that had to be well learned from our people. All right, to never go against your power, to show you have one power and one power only. All right, that ruled all things, the creator of all things. All right, the creator of all things, from the heaven, from the earth, to the gods upon this world, all right, to the witchcrafts and sorceries and magics. Okay, all of that was created by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, and was always showing you his true power through it all. You know, the Lord created good and evil, man. You see, showing you that the Lord was a perfect balance. Okay, so in order, you know, it's the Lord's story at the end of the day. You know, he's got his story the way he wanted, and he set it up the way he has wanted it. He wanted it to be. So, you know, he had to show the balance that he has, because the Lord said a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. So he had to show you the different type of balances that he had in his place. You know? So he had to show you that he controls the good and the evil. As the scriptures say, I the Lord, right? I create evil. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. You know, I wound and I heal. I kill and I make alive. Showing you that the Lord was a true balance. Right? It says, let's go to 11. It says, therefore, Salak at 12, stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou shalt be able to profit, if so be thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth, they shall wander every one his quarter, none shall save thee. Okay, so none is going to be able to save America, man. All right, the Lord said, I would have healed Babylon, all right, but she is not healed, man. Why? Because this place was just too wicked. You see, all they had to do was acknowledge the Lord, you know, with the power that they were given. You know, they were supposed to do something righteous with that, all right, but they never did. Everything that they always were given, they turned it into wickedness. You know, the Lord, you know, allowed them to rule over us, and what did they do? They made sure that they overruled us, overdid it with wickedness. You see, not remembering that there was going to be a consequence for that, not remembering that the Lord, all right, always had a particular people, a peculiar treasure that he held on to, you know, that was his people that were always going to turn back to the Lord, which that was a perfect balance within ourselves. You see, we had a perfect balance within ourselves where we would go off or we would return back to the Lord. That's balance. You see? And whatever was balanced, the Lord loved at the end of the day. Because when you look at the multitude that's going to perish, right, that are born in vain, none of them had balance. They were always just completely wicked from day one all the way to the end, you know? Esau was never righteous. There was no balance in Esau. He was just straight wicked from the beginning to the end, you know, which that's just the way the Lord created it. These other nations, they were all wicked from the beginning to the end. The only thing that ever had balance, all right, was Yahweh's people, man. All right, those that would turn back to the Lord. You see, so the Lord kept us as that cluster. You see, He said, "Let my grapes, all right, the cluster of my grape be kept." All right, so He kept that, all right, which was made to be kept through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. But everything else had no balance to it, man. So everything else had to be destroyed. Okay? And that's a beautiful thing. So I'm pretty much ended off on that note through the spirit. Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. So with that being said, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloyim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Qadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad. The Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith. Enduring as good soldiers of Yahweh Shai. All right, we almost up out of here. There's 11 days left until we hit 2026. I can't wait to see what the Lord has in store for 2026. It's about to be a crazy-ass year. Lord willing, that be the year of our deliverance, you know, and that we no longer have to suffer anymore in this shithole that we constantly live in, you know. Lord willing, that all the smiles of this place, all right, turns into frowns, all right. All the mirth that, you know, people still seeking for is completely gone, all right, because the mirth of the land is already gone, all right, but you still find people trying to find ways to smile in this place, man, you know, but it's about to be over. All right, so hey, Lord willing that the lesson was edifying. Like I said, Shalom, keep fighting the good fight of faith. Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Barakatah to you and your households. All right, and a bob of ball to this place real soon. And Lord willing, I'll be out here tomorrow through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.